Good morning, good evening, good night. My name is Charles Preston and I collect things.
Charles Preston.
So update, I won an online auction, paid $200 and something, received a plethora of black literature, black magazines, black novels that I really want to share with you all today because I think we can glean some history from it. Now, most of this literature is from 1950 to I say about 1975. I think about like 1975 is like the cutoff point, but it includes Ebony magazines, Life magazines, and like I said, various novels and books and what have you. So I'm excited to share. Shall we begin?
Hell yeah.
Let's start off with my prized possession. My prized possession is this. This is the prized possession. This is the most noteworthy thing to come from this auction, because what this is the first edition copy of selected poems by Gwendolyn Brooks. Now, if you don't know who Gwendolyn Brooks is, excuse you for not knowing Chicago history, excuse you for not knowing black women writers, but Gwendolyn Brooks is the first African American, first black American to win the Pulitzer Prize. You heard me. The first black American to win the Pulitzer Prize before Kendrick Lamar, and she's from Chicago. So this is my prized possession, selected poems of her. When I open this book, you will find that what's that? I hope y'all can see it. What's that? It's signed. This is a signed copy, signed first edition copy of her selected poems. Damn! I literally don't intimately know all these items, right? So I'm going to just browse through what I've just won and let you in on it. This is the autobiography of Adam Clayton Powell Jr., Adam by Adam. Now, if you don't know who Adam Clayton Powell is, he is a former U.S. representative. I think one of the first black ones to be elected, if I'm not mistaken. Also a preacher, very controversial, very firebrand politician during his time, really pushed a lot of civil rights as well as encouraged America to back nations gaining their independence in Africa at the time. And yeah, I think he was brought up on corruption charges. He's a preacher, you know, but he represents Harlem, New York. It's autobiography. I might want to look into that. Next, we have this book. This is Shaft Among the Jews. Now, if you don't know who Shaft is, shame on not knowing your black pop cultural history, because Shaft is a black detective, like the essence of 1970s cool. And it was created by this white man named Ernest Tidyman. And this book, Shaft Among the Jews, is about, I think Shaft is trying to solve a case, and it is layered with anti-Semitism in this book. You can Google it, because it's interesting that a white man, Ernest Tidyman, used a black protagonist as a vessel for his views, including anti-Semitic ones. But Shaft was very popular amongst black people, so unpack that. Next, we have this Black Studies book. This is American Negro Art. So I think this was published in 1960, and what's fascinating is the amount of art that is in this book and the amount of artists I've never heard of. So let me just flip to a random page in the book. And you have, black muralists that I've never heard of. Such beautiful pictures in this book. So we're definitely going to get into that. Let me dig in this box and see what I find. Now, I also won this. I don't care about Carl Lewis. I know that he's a multi-winning Olympian. I think he was in 92 and 96, maybe 88, 92 and 96 for sure. Won gold medals. All I know or care about when it comes to Carl Lewis was that time where he butchered the national anthem. And
I'll make up for it now. For the land of the free.
Yeah, you could find that on YouTube. So don't really, this is called Carl Lewis One More Victory Lap, written with Jeffrey Marks, sorry. But yeah, I don't really care for it. This book, published in 1970, is Vertimade's Vibration Cooking, or the Travel Notes of a Geechee Girl. This is a cookbook. It is cultural commentary. It is also an autobiography. I'll just read what's on the back here. In reading lots and lots of cookbooks written by white folks, it occurred to me that people very casually say Spanish rice, French fries, Italian spaghetti, Chinese cabbage, Mexican beans, Swedish meatballs, Danish pastry, English muffins, and Swiss cheese. And with the exception of nigger toes and black bottom pie, there is no reference to black people's contribution to the culinary art. White folks act like they invented food and like there is some weird mystique surrounding it. There is no mystique. Food is food. Everybody eats. If it starts off like that, then you know it's some heat in there, man. The next book is Blues Child Baby, a novel by George Kane. I love this cover art. I think it's very powerful. And look how handsome George Kane is. That man handsome. I'm a man, I could say it. That man handsome. But this book is about it's I think it's semi-autobiographical, but it's about a man coming home from prison in the summer of 1967, battling a heroin addiction, but also navigating blackness during a time of like race riots while he fights his addiction, and the U.S. government, navigating what the U.S. government has done to black folks. This book is said to have predicted Reagan's war on drugs.
Thank God for post-production. I meant Nixon, not Reagan. Wrong devil. Nixon. Nixon's war on drugs, 1971.
So like kind of like is a precursor to it. So I am anxious to read this book, this novel, because I've also heard it's very well written. And next we have a Jihad publication. I'm not lying. A Jihad publication. Now, Jihad Productions was this black, very Afro-centered publishing house in Newark by Amiri Baraka. He founded it. And one of their writers, Clarence Reed, has a zine called Not Forever Tears. It's a book of poems. It's a little pamphlet, a zine of poems, about 20 pages. And I'll read one. I'll share one with y'all. This one is called Soft Eyes. Soft eyes, loving eyes, deep as the Niger. Will they ever stuff white thoughts in your head, heroin in your arm, money in your hand for your body? And who can say which is worse? Or perhaps you will become respectable. Then I will place a wreath on your memory and cry. Yeah, this was published in 1969. A lot of black revolutionary poetry in this little zine. I want sheet music in this auction as well. This is Ain't Misbehaving. I'm Saving My Love for You. Connie's Hot Chocolates. Lyrics by Andy Rezav. Music by Thomas Waller and Harry Brooks. Staged by Leonard Harper. This is a beautiful cover. I like the artwork on here. Andy Rezav, and I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I believe Andy Rezav wrote for black communist publications all the way back when. And yeah, sheet music. I don't know. Also got more sheet music. So this is what is this? This is Floating Down to Cottontown. Words by Jack Frost, music by F. Henry Clickman, Mayfair Music Corp. Next we have this little black book right here. What this is the 1968 annual report for the National Urban League. Now, if you don't know what the Urban League is, the organization still exists today. It is a black public policy think tank. A black public policy think tank. And so, what's in this book? In their annual report, you have statistics, facts, all concerning about black life. So, For example, you have this page that says cold facts in black and white. It says more than 40% of the nation's 22 million blacks are poor, earning less than $4,000 a year per family. Jobs. Black employment has remained static for a decade, still at twice the white level. This is 1968. Out of every 100 babies who die in infancy, 75 are black babies. Life expectancy for black Americans, 63.6 years. For white Americans, 70.19 years. So it's all right here. What we have here is the August 1970 edition of Ebony magazine, and it asks, which way black America? Question mark. Separation? Question mark. Integration? Question mark. Liberation? Question mark. So the assumption is that there's probably discourse on how do black people navigate from 1970 and beyond in this nation. Next, we have another Ebony magazine issue. This is August 1966. Got torn pages, but this is an edition on the Negro woman. It is not a special issue. And yeah, a lot of black women are featured in this magazine. So I'm curious to get through that one. What else we have here is this special edition of Ebony magazine with Frederick Douglass on the cover. Yeah, it says, in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. This is the September 1963 special issue. And of course, they have the father, Frederick Douglass, abolitionist, father of the protest movement. That's what they call him on the front cover. Boom, that's the guy right there. That's Muhammad Ali. This is Life magazine, October 23, 1970. It says, look out, he's back. Look out, he's back. A different Muhammad Ali returns to the ring. So this is Muhammad Ali making his triumphant return to the ring after he was put in prison for evading the draft. He did not want to go to Vietnam, so he chose not to go to Vietnam, and they placed him in prison. And yeah, this right here, September 11th, 1970. September 11th, crazy. But they got Angela Davis. Angela Davis, probably the most famous black communist in America. One of them, at least. It's debatable, but and especially at this time, she was wanted by the FBI, and it just says making of a fugitive. And so yeah, look into Angela Davis, prison abolitionist, wrote the book Women, Race, and Class. It's one of the books I read early on in college. So definitely tune into Angela Davis. Next we have August 1973 edition of Ebony magazine, and it's focused on who? The black middle class. It's also noted as a special issue, and when it says special issue, that means there's a whole bunch of articles on the said topic, on the said cover page topics. It's a special issue of the August 1971 edition of Ebony magazine, and it says the South Today. Yeah, you see the two contrasting images. It's like on the top is like a black and white image of like sharecroppers and slaves, and on the bottom is like this colorful new energy of black professionalism and black radicality, revolutionaries. You got them with the leather jackets and the suits and the afro and the fist. They're saying it's the South today. So I think this issue may be about probably assimilation in the South, or just us adjusting to modern times, and probably the fight when it comes to protest movements. It's a curious issue. It's August 1971, so I'm curious about that one. This is a special issue on the black male. August 1972, not many words on the cover, but you have the red, black, and green, and it's a special issue on the black male. I'm curious as to what they're saying about the black male in Ebony in 1972. The August 1965 version of Ebony magazine is called The White Problem in America. Let me get it together. White Problem in America. Any of these you want me to review, please put them down in the comment section. Say, Charles, I think I'm interested in that one. Let's review that one or talk about this one more. But I'm just browsing through. I'm just browsing through because it's a lot here. I'm just browsing through. It's literally a big box. So what else I got in this box? This isn't Selma. It almost looks like the Meredith March, but it's some march with Dr. King and Coretta. This is the Ebony 1968. This is the September 1968 edition of Ebony magazine, and it says Black Revolt in White Churches. How the Ghetto Gets Gypped by Senator Warren G. Magnuson and Coretta King and her husbands. I want to say that's words, but Coretta and Martin holding hands. Martin was kind of drippy. Look at that gold watch, kind of drippy, but yeah, Coretta too. Let's not, come on now, look at the pearls. It was kind of drippy. What's interesting about this cover, it says Black Revolt in White Churches. So I'm curious as to what that means in 1968. Ebony, April 1970. There's a new movie, a powerful new movie, King from Montgomery to Memphis. I don't know if I've seen that movie, but apparently there is a movie on Dr. King, and it was promoting it in Ebony magazine. What we got here? Y'all know who that beautiful woman is? I'll tell you. But this is the June 1969 edition of Ebony magazine, and this beautiful woman is Betty Shabazz. This is the wife, the widow of Malcolm X. This says, what else is on this cover? It says The First Generation, The Birth of Black America by Lerone Bennett Jr. and The Legacy of My Husband, Malcolm X by Betty Shabazz. So these are her words in Ebony magazine. So I'm very interested to hear about, Malcolm through the words of his wife. This looks like a fashion issue, Ebony magazine. So it's probably talking black fashion. Probably got some drippy, something saucy in here, But Fashions in Orbit traveling show is out of this world. So there's something about the traveling show on fashion. The Little People, tiny minority with big problems. And it also says pro football stars from Negro colleges. So I guess they're highlighting NFL stars from HBCUs. This is the October 1965 version of Ebony magazine. I'm going to say this is a November 1963 edition of Ebony magazine. It says biggest protest march in history. It's a heartbreaking photo, but it's also like a powerful photo. The March 8th, 1968 Life magazine. It says the Negro and the Cities, the cry that will be heard. It's a beautiful photo though. I love that photo. Martin Luther King was written about a lot. This is April 12th, 1968. This is a memorial edition for Martin Luther King by Life magazine. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, if I'm not mistaken. Another Ebony magazine. This is the 1965 April edition. And on the cover is Nat King Cole with a glizzy or a hot dog. Nat King Cole, black musician, black singer. It says the life and death of Nat King Cole. It also has states boast record number of Negro lawmakers and No Time for Tears. Loving mother faces life with handicapped child. So September 1972, you have a picture of a beautiful family of Muhammad Ali. This edition of Ebony gets into the private world of Muhammad Ali. And beautiful family right there. We also have the April 19th, 1968 edition of Life magazine. Martin Luther King had a lot of content, but this is Coretta Scott on the cover looking glamorous. America's farewell in anger and grief. A lot of riots occurred after the death of Martin Luther King, and it says Mrs. Martin Luther King at the funeral service. A lot of riots occurred after the death of Martin Luther King. America was very much in anger, but there was also a lot of celebration at the death of Martin Luther King by white supremacists. This looks like Huey P. Newton on the cover. It says the Black Revolution. This is the August 1969 edition of Ebony magazine. It's also a special issue. So they're discussing the Black Revolution, and that's the issue I'm very much interested in because I want to see what they're talking about. January 1964 Ebony. You have Wilt Chamberlain on the cover looking saucy. Saucy in that purple. And on it, it says Jet Set Athlete apologizes to black women, talks about new home, new career as $1 million player coach. I'm curious as to what he apologized to black women for. It's been said Wilt Chamberlain has had sex with over 10,000 women, 100, something, some absurd number. That's what he's known for, but also being one of the greatest centers, NBA centers of all time. This is a New Year edition of this magazine. What will the new year bring? Know that black psychics predict the future. So they got black psychics in Ebony magazine. They got your tarot card and astrology. You know, people doing it way before, us. So, This has Eliana Pittman. I don't know who she is, but she looked good. This is December 1965 edition of Ebony magazine. And it says part 2, Black Power, New Laws for the Old South. So I think this magazine is a part 2 version of the Old South magazine that we went through earlier. Please comment on what you want me to review next in terms of what I collect. Again, my name is Charles Preston. I collect things. Have a wonderful day.